Hey, it's Nathan-Josias. Today I'm with Dee, Vegan Dee on Instagram and YouTube. This is the first episode of the Outstanding Vegans. So it's a series when we're going to discover many chefs around the world, vegan chefs. So Dee, hi, nice to meet you. It's such a pleasure. We cooked earlier together. I got myself a small wound. So yeah, haven't been really comfortable with the knife today. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for coming. So I'll let you introduce yourself. I mean, you've trained at Le Cordon Bleu. It's the well-known cooking school. So the whole journey being vegan, I have so much that I want to know about you. So make it simple, start easy, and I will roast you with questions.
So I started my journey in veganism about 7 years ago. I treated it like a health change. I saw this documentary called Hungry for Change.
Okay.
And I thought it was really, really logical the way they spoke about vegetables and plant-based food being very easy to digest, being very healthy. And I just went with it. I tried it out. I was flexitarian. Monday to Friday, I would be vegan.
Okay.
And then on Saturday and Sunday, I'd eat meat and eat whatever I wanted. And I found that by the weekend, I was feeling so sick. My body just rejected just after 5 days.
Not processing it, wow.
Yeah, 5 days later, could not eat meat. It was crazy. So I decided to go vegan for health reasons. So I ate essentially plant-based for a couple of years until I discovered, well, a couple of months, not a couple of years.
Okay.
A couple of months until I discovered the ethical side of it. And I realized when I went kind of junk food vegan and like started exploring different foods and not just eating vegetables all the time.
Vegetable stock, I steam them, I don't fry them.
I was very much kind of going with diet culture, and I think I was lucky that I managed to find a balance, and I just knew that I wanted to be vegan. I knew that this worked for me. I felt good. I emotionally really connected what I was eating, what I was doing, and I actually discovered a love of food because of my vegan diet.
Because you turned vegan by yourself, or you were like a group of friends in your family? I mean, what's your origin? Maybe you can tell what's your origin.
So I am Indian. My family is Indian. We're from New Delhi, from North India, but I was born and brought up in England. So I very much Punjabi family. I ate meat like crazy. My parents still do. It's very much me, the little vegan island in my family.
Okay.
And I navigated this as this adventure when it came to food. And I just started experimenting with dishes. And I was lucky, I found it really easy. I found it like a challenge. But I had eaten meat throughout my entire life. I went vegan overnight.
Okay.
Overnight.
You want to change, like,
yeah.
But I mean, you have a lot of recipes. I get like Indian family, a lot of recipe. How do you make the change? Do you cook at home like sometime for your family as well? How do you share that? Because we can find many things about you where you say you want to bring omnivore and flexitarian to like this vegan journey that you experience. Absolutely. Maybe not just overnight like you did. Yeah. I didn't do it overnight personally. But so how do you do with your family, first of all?
So I'm lucky that where I come from, vegetarianism was huge. So in India, we eat a lot of vegetables and it's just one of the plates on our table. So I learned how to navigate using plant-based alternatives within the use of spices, like I showed you today, with all of these techniques of how you use regular soy products that vegetarians will use, and just omitting the ghee, the butter. And in India, funnily enough, I don't know if people know this, but vegetarianism means no egg in India. A lot of
cheese? I mean, dairy products?
Dairy is very much, it's used so much in India. Okay. But egg is just, it's a no-go for vegetarian.
Okay.
If you have a dietary requirement, like egg is not going to be on your menu. So I was lucky that for that, it was only dairy that I needed to navigate with my family recipes.
And to bring out, and not, you didn't have to arrive and say, okay, I have to take out, because in many recipes, example, I'm French, like the egg have so many functions. If you already have that like out, it's a lot
easier. And so I think that's why if you see people cooking vegan food, especially in the beginning. You'll see a lot of like spice heavy Indian influences.
Yeah.
A lot of that gives you the flavor without having to compromise at all on just enjoying a meal. So I kind of started with that, and for me it was just cutting out the meat, which funnily enough was not that hard. For me, I started off with focusing on filling up with like vegetable dishes, a lot of lentils. Lentil curry can be made vegan very easily. We have this thing called dal, that's what lentils are called. And dal it's delicious.
It's definitely delicious. I think most of the vegan can relate at the beginning of the journey. Whenever you want to go out, the Indian restaurant is your best friend, because you can find your vegetarian like dal or vegan dal.
Exactly. So I found it really easy to start off by getting back in touch with my roots and understanding how to eat plant-based abundantly. So I started off very much with Indian food, and moving throughout, realizing that I wanted this to be part of my life. I think I really went through exploring how to veganize dishes that I really loved. Back when I first went vegan, there weren't the vegan restaurants we have now.
7 years ago,
yeah,
I can
7 years
guess.
ago. And I didn't even know if like French fries were vegan. I didn't know if hummus was vegan. Like, there wasn't information out there. If you Googled it, there are a couple of people, but there wasn't really much out there. So I very much navigated kind of my first stretch, being in London for 3 months on my summer holiday from university. I'd come back home, and 3 months, I was like raw to 4. I had all of these different rules, and I was trying to understand this, but I stuck to it. And funnily enough, when I went back to school, I was at university in New York, I discovered vegan chicken. Back when Beyond Meat had chicken, their original Beyond Chicken.
Okay. I didn't know about that one.
They had like
the
it
OG.
was a whole, the original, like the mock meat. It was a whole different ballgame. But from that, I think again, I was lucky that back in the day when there weren't many vegan options, I was in a place in the world where there were. And so I could go get, what was it, chicken quinoa bowls, and it was vegan. I didn't have to think about it, and people in New York understood what veganism was.
At the time, it felt really different.
Yeah, it was really funny, because I remember going to Wagamama and getting like a katsu curry, and back then they didn't know what vegan was. So when I asked it, they didn't know that there was egg in their original tempura batter.
Wow.
And we found that out later. That night. But now, funnily enough, Wagamama is one of the most vegan-friendly chains.
They have a whole vegan menu.
They're
I want to know,
amazing.
how do you find out?
I felt really unwell that night. That's how I felt.
Okay.
I just got really bad stomach pains, and I think that again, when especially if you're on your own and you're the only vegan, kind of surrounded by people asking you like, is this a diet? Is this like, when are you going to snap out of it? Like, what are you experimenting? Is this health? No, like not feeling well. Like literally, I couldn't digest egg. Like I had stomach pains that were horrible. I think that affirmed like, I'm doing this for myself, and I'm doing a great job. And my body says, yeah, like stay vegan. It wants this.
Love it. Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was great. But I do think that that because I was in a place where I could try vegan food in abundance in New York, now in the whole world, I think especially in the UK, it's really easy to get vegan food.
It's really easy in the store.
It made my journey simple.
I want to know, so because you talk about New York, now you're a chef. I know this is not how it was supposed to be at the beginning. What did you went to study in New York?
Yeah, I went to university for design and business at Parsons in New York, and I had always wanted to work in fashion. I was dead set on being a stylist. I worked at fashion magazines. When I went vegan, I was interning at V Magazine, and when I actually started my blog, Vegan Dee, on Instagram, I'd put kind of my lunch next to their magazines, and Fashion Girl is vegan, it can be done. And I was dead set on working in fashion. And when I started exploring plant-based cuisine, I realized that all my free time, I was spending looking for food, cooking food, exploring different recipes, vegan versions of things, how to veganize my favorite dishes. And all of that free time, all of that energy was spent in the food world.
In the food world.
Yeah,
and just like fashion was like just the work.
Yeah.
When it was always like your dream, it started to become like just the work, and out of the work.
Yeah.
Even like during lunch break, I guess. Like,
yeah, I was looking at what are the vegan options around here and what's that menu like. Oh, somebody ordered something from around the corner. I wonder what their menu is. Can I eat something there? And so it just became this really natural obsession, and I loved it. It was great, and I think I took a lot of time to realize that this is my passion, this is what passion is. And I love fashion, I love clothes, and I hope to also have a little bit of work in that. But food is, I think, my favorite thing to work on. I knew that I wanted to work in the food industry, especially when the pandemic hit and I sat down, I looked at my life, and I just knew, you know what, take the plunge. I'd always wanted to work. I'd always wanted to go to culinary school, and I had never found the right one. I'd never found a vegan school, a vegan course.
Which is really hard. I mean, from back 7 years ago, it was even harder, I guess. And through time, even now, it's really hard to find a vegan school entirely, and vegan course is hard too.
I think it's growing, but it's small. And I was lucky that at the time when I sat and I decided this is what I want to do and I'm going to take the plunge. The Cordon Bleu London had a plant-based culinary arts program. It felt like fate. In the city where I live, there was a plant-based culinary arts program with a well-renowned school.
So you were looking for it?
I was thinking about it. I actually had a friend who had just off the cuff had mentioned that she was thinking about doing something, and she didn't end up doing it, but she incredibly enough, like it was just meant to be, and it was amazing that she shared that. And I knew I wanted to do it. I think I toyed with it for a couple of months, and I applied. And I worked out, I mean, you have to work up the finances as well for it, do all of that, as well as the courage. But I knew it, and honestly, it was so much fun. That course was amazing. I will recommend it to anyone that asks me. I made amazing friends. I learned so many skills.
So everyone was like vegan or plant-based, or some people wanted just to learn, have an eye on it, knowing it's a trend that is also a trend, like it's still niche, but it's growing. Does everyone was plant-based in there?
80% of my course were plant-based. 20% of my course were not. And the people who were not, they were doing this course even after being chefs in the culinary world and being full-on trained chefs. They're absolutely amazing, but they knew that plant-based cuisine is the future. And they acknowledged that the techniques that you learn with these ingredients, they're different, and that it's important. And it was incredible to see that there were different types of people wanting to learn how to cook in this way.
How did you feel like knowing you were about to study at Le Cordon Bleu, which is like a really well-known name? Okay.
Oh my god. It was really cool. I was so nervous. I was very nervous because it was huge. And then I walked in and there were lots of friendly faces. And it just flowed. I was lucky that my course, there are about 10 people in my class. It was during lockdown, so our class numbers were reduced. We all wore face masks, and we weren't allowed to even have our teachers taste our food. It was a different experience than normal. But I was lucky to have just met some incredible people, and I think going in, any nerves that I had disappeared.
Because at the same time, going in that school for you was the act that you were changing career, like professionally, that you were leaving the fashion world and you were getting really entirely into cooking.
It was you're here and you're ready to really follow your dream, and it's that.
That's the moment.
Yeah, the moment when you just a point of view, you're the main character in your story, right? Yeah. Like I'm ready and I'm going to choose myself and I'm going to go out and do it. And I was nervous. And I put a lot of pressure on myself in classes. I mean, beginning I was very slow. I've been cooking in my kitchen and I have been posting on Instagram for years and years, but I didn't know how to cook like a professional. I mean, I just figured out how to make rice
get things
a year
done.
ago.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like it was a whole different ball game, and I was one of the slowest in my class in the beginning, and that is nerve-wracking in itself. But eventually, practice, dedication, focus, and just like ultimately, if you do something that you love, you're gonna throw yourself into it. And like I became faster. I started understanding what I was doing. It started flowing and it just worked.
Were you still like practicing when you were at home? Because
Oh,
so you were coming home.
Oh yeah. I go home and especially because in my course they would you're allowed to take all of your leftovers, so they would give you the ingredients, and if you didn't finish it, then you could take it home. So I'd come home and go, okay, like how do I chop this? I think the knife skills were the biggest thing for me, because to me, knife skills were what I used to watch. Now, we all cut ourselves. I cut and I burn myself a lot, actually, accidentally. For me, it's the clumsy girl. I'm always burning myself. You know what, cuts, burns, etc., that is a natural part of cooking, and that's something I learned as well, that we all make mistakes. But knife skills for me was a thing that I used to watch like YouTube videos or telly and be like, look at like Jamie Oliver or like Gordon, oh God, when Gordon Ramsay chops.
Amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the real deal. Okay.
Gold.
So you were coming home, putting YouTube on, and you're just like,
how do I do this? It was the seesaw method, and there's a way to hold your knife. Yeah. There's a way to little tidbits that you learn. How to chiffonade, how to wash something and then roll it and cook it. How to like, these little techniques that for me were just, I mean, it was like watching like a rock star play the guitar.
Okay.
Like it was so cool, and I needed to know it. So I went home, I practiced my instrument with my knife.
And I mean, if you were cooking and now still this is like a full-time career, so you cook during the day, you practice in the evening. How do you relax? Like, how do you get out of the cooking world? And do you even get out of
I mean, eating is in itself a joy. But to be honest, I mean, as much as it's difficult, especially in our day and age, to have a good work-life balance, I always focus a little bit on work and a little bit on passion. And of course, like everybody, I have multiple interests. So I would, I think, spend a lot of time with friends, and during pandemic a lot of it was spent Zoom calls and on phone. I have a dog who is my world.
Oh, and lovely.
She's amazing.
Okay, what's her name?
Her name is Darcy.
Darcy, that's so British.
Her name is Darcy, and I swear to God it is not because of Jane Austen. She's Miss Darcy, but she's not. Okay. I promise it's not Mr. Darcy. But like, you know, going out for walks and just being outside in nature, and I think especially what people don't realize is when you're cooking in the kitchen, you can strain your neck, you can hurt your hands when you're chopping. Like there are certain things that you can just hurt physically. I think it's really important to kind of take the time to physically connect with your body, take care of it, move, stretch, and like unwind, which is hard. Yeah. Especially given, like, you get it, given that we work like on this 24/7 platform and we want to be working all the time.
Yeah, totally.
It's so hard to switch off.
Just like always, it's like some people call it 24/7 because notification always turn on and stuff like this. I mean, you born in London, raised in London, but you went to India multiple times. Your sister is in India, if I'm right.
Yeah, my whole family is in India right now. Okay. We're Indian, and my parents actually emigrated to the UK in the late 70s, early 80s. And I was born here, but my parents were my parents really, really wanted me to learn the language and be immersed in the culture. So we would travel up and down, my dad for work whenever there was a summer holiday, and I think I'm lucky that I got to experience both cultures, which I think it
Trick and taste in the plate we made. Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah, I think I've never felt more proud to be Indian than feeding people, because because that's when you see kind of that spark go off in people's eyes, and it's something exciting and different. And with spices, you really can just completely change the flavor of everything. Like it's a flavor bomb, like it's banging, and I love that because it's different.
And so when you go in India, do you cook also as well a lot, or do you take the opportunity to just like get yourself feed with like stuff that you haven't prepared yourself? Because I guess in London you're the expert, but back in India you can easily find more expert than you. So what do you do when you're there?
When I'm there, I'm with family. So I'm princess who goes home and says, please feed me. And I think in general, when I'm traveling, I try and explore the different cuisines available. And when I do go back to my kitchen and cook, it's with the ingredients that are local and seasonal. And that's something I really want to champion.
A learning journey.
Yeah, and I want to know all about that. So when I go to India, especially, I haven't been since I started my culinary journey. But I mean, even when I do go back there, it will be both a learning and a hopefully collaboration effort.
Okay, that's amazing, because I mean, I know on your YouTube you start a vlog journey, which is amazing. In addition to the blog that you already have, like Instagram, it's all this content. I mean, it's a lot of content that you're putting out there. So
thank you.
First of all, like traveling, how do you feel like keep up with the content that you're doing, because you're doing a lot at home, and what's the plans?
So my dream is to integrate like a bunch of things that I love into work. So I went to culinary school in order to learn the skills to play with food and to really understand how to cook things and just get those basic skills so I'm not afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
And then I would absolutely love to travel the world and eat different cuisines, find plant-based restaurants, and learn how to veganize dishes that are in these different countries that are their traditional dishes. And I would love to kind of do that, sharing it with people. I mean, my whole vegan journey has been sharing pictures, sharing what I think of it, sharing where I go, because I want people to see that eating vegan food, living a vegan lifestyle, all of that, it's easy, it's not elite. You don't have to be really, really wealthy to do it, and you don't have to have a bunch of vegan friends. It doesn't have to be this like little club that people used to think it was. Like there aren't any angry people sitting here in this room.
And just like
like we just love food and we love animals, and we correlate that together. And I want to show that you can be vegan and still have fun. You can be vegan and still eat really good food. You can use amazing products. Like your life doesn't have to change.
And talking about that, if you had to start your journey right now, because you experience a lot of different things, or for anyone that would start his journey as a vegan, like, or who want to explore a plant-based diet, what would you do if you had to start now and be like, okay, I'm gonna start my plant-based journey, and with the knowledge that you have?
I think just eat it. Eat everything. Eat your mistakes, eat your favorite things ever. Go ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask if there is a vegan option on a menu and you're somewhere that doesn't have a vegan option you can see. Ask, experiment, and like research. And honestly, I think we are so lucky to have social media and the internet right now that we can all connect with each other without even having to meet each other or living in the same country. And the information's out there. And there are always people willing to have a chat. Like, you don't realize that there are so many vegans in the space around you.
I realized that when I go to Tesco, I want my vegan ice cream and it's empty. I cannot get my vegan ice cream. I'm just like, oh, there's a lot of vegan people around here.
They're there, like, we're all here. It's a really large community. It's not some club, it's not this little society. I don't think it's elitist at all. And I think now more than ever, like you can be vegan, you can live vegan life, you can revamp your entire life, and it's not tricky, it's not messy, it's so easy, and you still get all the luxuries and the benefits as before. It's just It just takes a tiny bit of effort, but like the information's out there and you can find that.
Definitely. I would just like to know, so first of all, like with all this content that you're having at the moment, producing, how do you stay productive? Because you start at the same time in the fashion world, you were working for magazines. I mean, the job was a bit more established. Now, how do you guide yourself to stay productive? So how week looks like, and
what is a typical week? I'm gonna tell you right now that because I love what I do and because I love this, I choose to do this because I love it, and I think that drives me. I love sharing what I eat. I love connecting with people, and so I think that it just comes with life. I was doing this before I wanted it to be my work and I wanted it to actually be a potential career, and I think that definitely is how you get things done when you don't feel like doing anything, when you don't have any motivation. But I think that integrating it into your life and understanding that you're in it for the long haul and that you're going to share, and there are going to be people that sometimes aren't very kind, but there are also going to be people who are your champions. I mean, like there are some people who DM me constantly and I adore them. They're so lovely, and that just drives me when I'm feeling a little bit low and I don't feel like sharing. But I know that they might just need some inspiration tonight.
A spike and just like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. I want to share that recipe since a week. Yeah. I've been lazy.
Like, just I promised, and letting people know that like something will come soon if I do not have the energy that day to do it. And I think if you see it as a way to really schedule your life the way you want to, you can be productive, because essentially you're calling the shots. When you work in content creation like we do, I think it is two different sides to it, and I think it can be this wonderful space where now you're in control, you are your own boss, and it's this new space, we're all navigating it, and I don't think there are any set rules, and so it's just doing work that you're comfortable with, and if this works for you, if every single Monday when you wake up to Sunday when you go to bed, like if that is driving you, if you're enjoying it, then you should be doing it. And you'll probably find the time. And if you're not finding the time, either collaborate with other people to help drive you, or maybe see that this might not be something that you want to do.
Not be your thing.
It needs to be something that you love doing. I think we have this luxury now, being at this time, like in the history of time, where like, we have so much more room to decide what we want to do with our lives. We can call the shots of what our jobs are, and more of us are able to do so. And I think it's important to call the shots because you enjoy it, not because of some other. There are different reasons to do something, and I think something that isn't purely to fuel your happiness it's a deal breaker, especially for me.
Definitely, I can totally get that. And it's like just this energy, constant energy that you get just because this is what I want, this is what I love. And you can take break at the same time.
You can. A social media break, it's a thing. Yeah, it is a well-known thing. And it's a great thing. And
content creation break, everything, like you travel, you start to travel for your vlog journey. Like when it comes to travel, so you're out of your environment, how do you do? Like, do you want to stay like, okay, I'm having 1-2 days, I'm being productive, and then I chill? Or you kind of mix up, like, okay, in this morning I do it?
So I have only recently started to understand that if you want to make a career out of this, you probably need to prep in advance. So I used to work real time. Like every single day it would be push all of this out. Like at that same time, I would post exactly what I had for dinner. And like my lunch would be posted at like 6 p.m. Like I would save it. I was in real time, and I think that's also when it was a side of to my other jobs that I had. Okay. And so I'm learning that like the content creation requires planning, and I think now I do a little bit of both. I love stories because I can connect with people quickly and easily. There's no barrier, and I can show them exactly what I'm doing. And I I utilize that a lot. And when it comes to feed posts, I think I've really learned that you need to have some in your pocket for the days when you don't know what you're doing, and have a nice little chunk that's ready to post.
And do you enjoy cooking a bit more as you go with that, because you know you don't have to do it and you'll not have a post? Do you feel that it gives you more room to explore in the kitchen by yourself?
I think definitely. I think when you have pressure of having to have a deliverable in hand, it can get really difficult and stressful. I think it can take the joy out of it. And that's why preparing in advance is huge. And you need to definitely have kind of a stockpile of stuff so that you're not sitting there panicking, I don't have anything to post today. And then it just takes the joy out of it. And as I said, like this is driving, like we choose joy. Like we're driving for joy and our happiness, and our favorite thing to do is to share food. And that is then you have to prep in advance. Otherwise, if you get stressed from this, what's the point?
That's the point, definitely. And you enjoy cooking?
I enjoy cooking, and I enjoy like sharing what I'm eating. I think majority of it, and why I started Vegan Dee many years ago, was that I was eating food and I was so excited to share, this is vegan, and like this is delicious and it's vegan, and did you know, like it was my whole thing. And so it just started as a pure, I want to show what I'm eating, and I'd never really done it before, but I started sharing it, and then, you know, we had lift off.
And where do you see yourself going with Vegan Dee? What will be the plan? And maybe some stuff are secrets and
everywhere.
we cannot know.
So I there are some things I cannot share, but the things I can share are that I plan on showing people more and more abundant ways to eat vegetables and to cook with it. And I want to show everybody that we can eat plant-based cuisine, and we can buy plant-based products, we can integrate beauty, hair care, we can integrate like every single part of our lives, our clothing, and it doesn't have to be difficult. It is really easy. You don't have to compromise, and I think the compromise is just it's a way of the past. When you're vegan, you don't have to compromise at all.
At all. You can enjoy it fully.
And I want to, and I promise that that's exactly what I'm going to keep doing. I know I'll be vegan forever, and I know I'm going to want to tell people how awesome it is to be vegan.
Okay, for the next, so that's even more reason to follow you. So on Instagram, we can find you at Vegan Dee. Can you spell it for me?
So on Instagram and TikTok, it's vegan.dee, and then on YouTube, it's Vegan Dee. If you're looking for any of my recipes, you can find it on theyandus.com.
Okay, it's amazing. They and us, right? Amazing recipe, and a bit more about you also. Thank you so much for being present. It's really a pleasure, especially for this first episode of the Outstanding Vegans.
Thank you so much for having me.
So it's really
am I an outstanding vegan?
You're an
oh my god,
vegan.
That is an honor. I think that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Dee. Make sure you go and follow Dee for more recipe, for all her journey and everything you would like to see about her. She has so much to share. You can feel this energy. Make sure to subscribe also to make sure you don't miss any episode of the Outstanding Vegans. Thank you for watching. Au revoir.